So the things you need are a good knife. I like a medium-sized knife. I also like a small knife for little places. I like a big knife for boning the chickens if you want to cut up the chicken after you're done. I like these are actually gardening prunes for pruning or for cutting off the chicken's neck. Knife sharpener, key. The night before I start, I sharpen up the knives real good. A thermometer to check my scalding water. This is a honing steel, which during the middle of butchering, if your knife starts getting bent, you would keep the edge sharp by doing that. It just maintains it, doesn't necessarily sharpen it. Then I actually keep some hand soap and a towel just in case the kids interrupt me or my wife calls me on the radio. I can take a break, wash, dry, be ready. I have a stainless steel bowl. I fill it with cold water for the things like the hearts and the gizzards and things like that to keep them cold. The livers, take a little bit of soap, just any kind of eco-friendly soap. I put it in the scalder. It actually helps loosen the feathers so that they can come out easier. And then I take a stainless steel pan, or you could use a big bowl to transport the chickens from outside to inside if you're doing that. I also have a scalder. I really like this, the scalder that is preset. You can set your temperature. I like it at 145 degrees. I have this plywood over it to keep so it could heat up faster and maintain its heat. Over here we have our cooler filled with ice. We're gonna fill that up with water. It's gonna be a nice cold ice water for when our chickens are done. We'll throw them in that. That'll keep them fresh. Right beside that is my Rubbermaid bin. It's actually got the chickens in it. If you're doing a lot of chickens, you'll want to get the special crate that holds the chicken. But if you're just doing a few, you can use just a Rubbermaid crate, a cardboard box. You want to line the bottom with some kind of carbon material like sawdust, or line the bottom with straw. Then you have up above it is a plucker that makes your job a lot easier. Probably one of the longest things to do if you didn't have all the equipment is to pluck by hand. That can take quite a bit, and you'll see that that's going to cut off a lot of our time. I have an extension cord to run to the power. I have multiple outlets there on my extension cord. Up here I have my killing cones. We put the chicken in that. It puts them upside down, and that starts to sedate them. But also when they get wrapped in that cone, they're getting hugged, and that starts to sedate them and calms them down. And I'd like to put a bucket of shallow water underneath it, because when they bleed out, if you just let that blood go into the bucket, it's going to be hard to get that blood out. But if you let it drop into some water, it's much easier to pour out into your compost when you're done. I think I covered everything. Oh, this is a cultivating tool, but I use it to stir the chicken around in the scalder, because a lot of people just use their feet and they hold on to the feet and dump it into the scalder, but then you don't scald the feet, and the feet can be some of the hardest to peel off. And the reason you might want to keep the feet is because it's great for putting in the stock. It's a good gelatin. So if you're going to keep the feet, you don't want to hold the chicken by the feet and dip it. You want to get the whole chicken in, and that's what's good. That's what this is good for, dipping and stirring up the whole bird. So I'm going to take my guy. I'm going to put him upside down in the cone. Call them restraining cones. The reason we put them in a cone is because it gives them that hugging sensation, and also them hanging out upside down actually sedates them. So I'm maneuvering him through. You can get different size cones. This is a medium. I kind of just gently pull his head through and just let him calm down a little bit. And what you're looking for when you cut their throat is just slit their throat. We're not going to try to cut it. We're going to get right above his jawbone. There's a jawbone right there. You want to get your hand out of the way and pull it down. And then just real quick, you're just going to do a slice just like that, okay? You could kind of get him used to the feeling if you want. Calm him down. So we're going to do this real quick. We're going to bend his head sideways so the blood will come out. He's going to kick, but he is unconscious. This is just his nerves. I've got his head bent sideways to make it come out faster. It's dripping down into my bucket full of water so it doesn't gob up. If you want, you could speed up the process by doing the other side. Okay, I'm just holding his neck to keep him steady. He's gonna wanna kick, and I'm just gonna keep him in the comb by holding his neck. And this can take up to 3 minutes. It's never fun killing them. And probably one of the best answers I ever got was about killing birds was, I asked the lady, do you eat your chickens? And she said, yeah, what else are you gonna do with the roosters? And she had a good point, because if you're just buying ladies to lay eggs, the hatcheries are just throwing away those roosters. So at the very least, it's better to eat them than see them get thrown away. Okay, so his nerves are winding down. Just gonna make sure, if we wanted to be real efficient, we could put another one in. We could have as many cones as we need. Now we're gonna put them in the scalder. I've got it at 145 degrees. I've got my poker. I agitate them in here because I like to keep the feet. If people just hold them by the feet, it doesn't get scalded and they're hard to peel. So I just take him up and down. I'll check him in about 30 seconds. I just keep him irritated. That soap that I put in there is working to loosen up the tension between the feathers and his skin. Just take a look at my watch to keep up with the time. Sometimes the temperature fluctuates, especially if you don't have a temperature regulated thermostat. If you're doing it over a pot of fire or a gas stove, your temperature can definitely fluctuate. And if you over scald him, he'll start to cook and his skin will start to peel and whatnot. But if you under scald, he'll just be hard to pick. So I usually like to err on the side of that. So I'm gonna check his so that's not peeling real easy yet. You'll see in a minute when he's done scalding that his legs are gonna peel a lot easier than that. Another way you could do it, test it, is you could test his feathers. And if those are real hard to pull out, those were kind of hard to pull out, he's still not ready. Different breeds take different amount of time. This guy's a heritage breed. He's gonna be a little more hardy. He's gonna probably be a little harder to pluck. He's a little older too. This is a guy that's a year old. We're culling him from the flock. He actually didn't meet very many or any of our breeding standards. So he's eaten, and no reason to keep him. It's starting to peel there, see? But I still would like it to maybe be a little bit easier. Okay, let's try it again. So that's peeling a lot easier there. So we're gonna take him out. We're gonna quickly, I'm barely hanging on to him because all the skin's coming off so easy. I'm gonna quickly dip him in a pot of cold water. That's just gonna stop the cooking process real quick. And start the plucker. So I'm gonna lay him on there, holding on to his feet, on his side. Then I'm gonna just turn him slightly over into his belly. And I keep on rolling over on his side, and then his back. And then we're gonna get his butt by grabbing his head and holding him onto the plucker. This is a table handheld plucker. If you were to do it by hand, it'd take you about 10-15 minutes. But if you're doing 50 or so more birds, it's much more efficient to have a plucker like this or a drum plucker. And then I just get the fine feathers off by just doing what I need to do, put him on here. If these rubber tongs hit you, it doesn't hurt that bad. thing we do, cut off their feet in between the joints. You start cutting in there, you can see the joint. Just put it in your stainless steel pot to save. Here, see that joint bulging out? Doesn't take much if you get right in between it. Cut off the head. Right up as close as you can get to the jawbone, the better. Some people save the head for stock. If not, throw it in your guts. If you are, clean it off by pulling out its hair and clean off its comb. Now I'm going to cut around the neck, pull the skin up so I don't cut anything. Cut into the neck, just roll the bird around, cut the skin around it. Okay, then I'm going to grab the skin, pull it off. Came off nice and smooth. See your windpipe there? Let's go ahead and cut that as close as we can. You've revealed the crop. It's actually okay that this is full just for the sake of this education, is you want to get in there and grab so you can see what it looks like. But otherwise it looks like just an empty sack. It's always on that side of their neck. I just kind of grab at it. See how it's attached there? See how I'm peeling it off? Like so. Peeling it off the breastbone. I'm pulling down. See how it's just tearing off of there? It's tearing off nice. Okay, I'm just doing this slow so you guys can see. You'll get to where you get really fast at doing this. There's the crop. It's loaded. So definitely wouldn't want to bust it. If you bust it and food goes everywhere, that's okay. Just rinse it off. The crop is where they take in their food and they begin to ferment it. And then it's going to go on down to the gizzard, which we'll talk about here in a minute. Okay. Go ahead and get our oil gland sac, put it on its belly, cut down. The oil gland puts off oils to preen the feathers, down and out. It just doesn't taste good. There's our neck. You could leave it on, of course, but I like to cut it off, get it ready for the stock pot. Cut down at an angle. That way when you put it in its plastic bag for storage, the bone won't charade the packaging. Turn the bird back over on its back. We're cutting above the vent and just above these bones. Pinch out so you don't cut the guts. Just slice, don't poke, or you might actually poke some guts. Then you might have some poop coming out. That's okay, just go ahead and get that out. I'm pulling these apart as hard as I can with two hands. I'm getting it open enough so I can easily get a hand in there. I want to go ahead and rinse that manure. Anything comes out, just keep it clean. It won't hurt anything, just rinse it off. Reach in with my hand. I like to go down the right side first. You'll feel things connecting it, the insides to the ribs, and you just kind of go around breaking that up. If you're feeling real good, you can grab the esophagus, that pipe that we cut. See if you can't grab somewhere in there and pull it all out in one sweep. I did grab the esophagus there, pulling it out, lost it though, but hanging it over. Okay, it's the easiest way to do it. You can actually cut it off here if it hangs so you can actually keep some of that fat. Definitely want to keep that. Now we'll get our organs off. If you like to keep the liver, here's the heart. I'll grab it first. Use gravity. Actually, I didn't have to cut it. I just pulled. That heart came right off. We'll put it in our pile there. You don't want to cut that. That's a bile sac. If you do, it's okay. Just rinse it off real quick. Here's your liver. If you want to keep that, just hang. Let gravity be your guide. Just drop it there and there's your liver. Last thing is our gizzard. Go ahead, holding up the guts, just cutting off around it. You can keep the fat if you like. Cut the gizzard just like this. Open it up manually. It's where they take in their food and they've swallowed rocks, and that gizzard muscle breaks down their food for them. They don't have stomachs like we do. I'm gonna go ahead and peel that. This inside liner. The gizzard can be a little bit tricky. It's probably why a lot of people don't keep them. But you can fry them or put them in a stock. Make a soup. It's just got their food in it, been crunched up. It's okay. We're going to make a good rinse. We're going to do a good rinse. Cleaned it up nice. I'll go ahead and rinse it off. Put it in my goodies. Last thing we do, we got our guts hanging off here. Well, next to the last thing we do is We want to cut close enough to that vent, but not so close that we actually cut into the guts, okay? So one quick motion down, a motion sideways, and the other side. I've got it. Now, last is to get the lungs out. They can be kind of tricky. You might can see one in there on the left side right there. It's red. You have to reach in, grab against the ribs. It's about midway up. It's hard to explain. You just kind of have to do it. Then I see that the one on the right is not there. It came out with the guts. That's great. Let's get the one on the left. It looks about like that. Do a final rinse. Put it in our cooler.